welcome back to New Entry Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, Ian, and unfortunately, my co-host, Ever, will not be joining us, but I do have a special guest, Andre. Thanks for joining, and everybody, please hit that like and subscribe. What is up, Andres? Thanks for joining.
Thank you for having me, man. How's it going?
Let's go, man. Hey, I love the stunner shades on, man. Dang, look at that, man. You
From
came
the
in.
from the Macho Man costume I had a few years ago for Halloween at work.
Oh, for real? Oh, that's actual Randy Savage's
The
sunglasses.
the cream of the crop
The
promo.
the cream of the crops. Oh yeah. Can you do a good Randy Savage?
Ooh yeah, dig it.
You gotta like pick up the shades a little bit when you do it too. There you go.
Ooh yeah.
That was great. That was great. Appreciate that for you doing that. I hate when people wear the Randy Savage sunglasses and they don't like play it out like him. And it's like, why are you wearing it then? Same thing with the
Just
Ric
order
Flair.
what?
Yeah, same thing with the Ric Flair robe. Saw a guy
Yeah,
once do the woo, do the strut. Nope. I
yeah.
was like, then why are you wearing it? Jeez, man. But a lot of stuff has happened lately this past week. Um, let's start off with the big one. Jordan Grace showed up to NXT. For those people that do not know Jordan Grace, she is a TNA wrestler. She is the TNA Knockouts Women's Champion. She is my future wife. Oh my gosh. She's Big Pumpa, Big Mama Pump. She showed up to NXT with the title
Well, yeah, she just also issued an open challenge, so
at
she's got
against
quite a
all
bit to do.
odds. Yeah, against all odds. So that could be
So
exciting.
she's got a pretty busy schedule, um, considering that this is a interpromotional situation.
Yeah. TNA, NXT. Um, do you think the open challenge is going to be an NXT superstar?
Um, I guess it all depends on what they're planning on booking for the TNA pay per view. I know that there was talks for a while between TKO and TNA, especially
Right.
since the Dolph Ziggler signing.
Hmm.
So I guess it just this gives them the exposure, being on both brands, and maybe convinces them to do a merger with them as well.
Right.
Um,
It's
you
also
know,
and
with
it's also with the schedule. It's easier for him to continue. I believe he's doing. Is he still doing his comedy tour?
yeah, he still is.
Okay,
So
so what? That's where I figured why. I don't even think he's signed with TNA. He's just he has that Matt Cardona deal where they just agreed on certain days for them to show up.
mhm.
And I think that's a great call for Nick. And then I think and it's a great testing the waters for the partnership for TNA and or WWE NXT to see how well this works out. My concerning was the rebellion numbers with Nick being in the main event. It ain't drew that well. So I'm still surprised that they still pull the trigger, but it's Jordan Grace, like look at her. She looks like a superstar. She looks like $1 million. She drew in a lot of ratings when she showed up to the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, I mean, it's she pretty much pricked off from where what was it, Tessa was the biggest woman talking about how, hey, maybe she should be the next WWE signing. Then when she cooled off due to the issues that she was creating backstage,
Right.
that's when Jordine started getting talked about. One, from her
Mm,
physique,
yeah.
and how much she adjusted her body to be more cardiovascular for wrestling. So she's not just a size. She's got the speed to go with it,
Yeah.
and the more work ethic she put into it, the more she started getting noticed. And now now she's the commodity that everyone's looking to sign between
Right.
AEW, New Japan, WWE. Um,
Also,
but
she
this
has a
whole
big
thing of
following base on IG as well.
that, and with this whole WWE promotional with TNA, aside from the merger, just leads to more exposure of more than just the indie talent that we're seeing from the women. You know, now
Hmm.
you're seeing girls growing up like in developmental, like the way WWE did with NXT, like how all these uh, all these no names that Hunter signed years ago that now are elite stars or at least upper mid card wrestlers
Seth
in the
Rollins
main
is
event.
one of them. Becky Lynch is one of them.
Bianca,
Bianca. But Seth Rollins and Becky, personally, I feel like that they're the big ones. I don't know if like me, I watched Seth Rollins since like '05 back in the Indies, you know. And to I have it in the background right now. I'm watching WrestleMania 40, Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre right now. I saw that live. So to see him on YouTube wrestling in front of like 20 people to being part of that crowd, the 72,000, is like, dude, that's crazy. And I got to see him wrestle The Rock night one, and then night two, Drew McIntyre. So that's pretty impressive. And going back to Jordan Grace, it's just like she went from wrestling to front of five people to a few hundred people and then being signed to TNA and becoming the face of TNA and being signed to TNA and showing up to WWE as the Knockouts Women's Champion, showing up to the Royal Rumble, showing up to NXT as still champion, the same title reign when she showed up at the Royal Rumble. So to show up to NXT and eventually to have she's to have a match at NXT Battleground. So it's just like she's doing something that hasn't been done. I feel like the only person who's done something like that is Hulk Hogan or and Ric Flair, if I'm not mistaken, you know. But I know for a fact no woman has done that. So she's the first on that. And if it's somebody does go to another promotion, it's usually the big company. It's usually WWE or WCW going to another promotion. But this is I don't know, isn't I want to I guess it's a small promotion, medium promotion, going going to a big promotion. It's like that's never been done before. Unless you want to consider Nick Cage when he showed up to AEW. But did he ever got a pay-per-view match?
uh, not sure, man. Ever since that, since he held that Lucha Underground God of Wars crap title, he's gotten pretty lukewarm since then. You know, now when you say Nick Cage, it's like, okay,
I
I thought
totally
you were
forget.
name dropping. It's not
Like you forgot about him
he
basically.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I did too until I just brought it up until I was like, as soon as I finished that, and I was like, oh well, I guess you want to say Nick Cage, you know. Um, but I wouldn't count that. Let's take
No,
that
but
back.
as you mentioned, there was guys. It was in the WWE that would go to other promotions and carry the belt because the purpose was to elevate those titles and elevate that brand.
Right.
Unfortunately, the very last person to do it in the WWE that made that exposure was Jeff Jarrett back in the '90s, where he went
Mm,
to the very last NWA promotion before the same promotion he ended up buying to become TNA.
okay.
He was their world champion, but you know he was always going to be second fiddle to the European champion at that point.
Mm,
Because even though they kept announcing him as NWA World Champion, you know Steve making sure that he had the top moniker would say, "I'm not sharing a spotlight with a guy from a belt with a belt from a secondary company."
damn. Oh snap. When did that happen?
'98. I remember he stopped he still did his little the double J strut, but he wasn't wearing his
So was
the
this
J
what? So
hats
was this
anymore.
his release from WWE?
No, well, '97 he left for a bit, then he came back, and then to help elevate an NWA promotion, they had him be their world champion for a while.
Hmm.
Then when he dropped that belt is when he went back to the IC title division.
In WWE.
Yeah.
Okay. And then that's when that incident happened.
Yep.
Oh,
So the
okay.
whole purpose was to have him be Steve's next opponent, but uh, as Steve said, well, obviously because it was always that grudge he had towards his dad of booking him.
Right.
Um, he says, "I'm not doing him any favors. I'll just keep
Now,
wrestling
which Steve are
Taker,
we
Kane,
talking
and
about?
Austin."
Steve Austin, Stone Cold Steve Austin?
So the purpose of that NWA title reign was to get Jeff to go over to be a credible opponent for Steve,
For Steve
but
Austin.
Steve Austin still had that grudge against his dad for the way he booked him in the Jeff Jarrett NWA promotion.
Wow.
So
Okay.
uh, so they never got to have that build up. Instead, Steve said, "I'll settle for working with Mankind, Kane, and Taker throughout this title reign. I will not work with Jeff Jarrett."
Damn.
And
And
that's when he buried him live and started him while he was with the NWA title doing his little J strut. Came in, started him, flipped him off, and then Mock did the same thing that Rock does with the SmackDown, but he mocked
Mhm.
Jarrett's strut and then
Right.
gave him the double finger afterwards.
Wow. I never heard that story before. That was like the first time I ever heard that story. So imagine the great matches that we could have had with Jeff Jarrett and Stone Cold Steve Austin then. The great feud that they would have had. And then would have helped Jeff Jarrett because Jeff Jarrett was a great heel in TNA. Regardless if he was booking himself, he put in the work and he proved that he could be a great heel. You know,
Mm-hmm.
he was like the most hated guy, and nobody was hating him because I've never once heard anybody saying Jeff Jarrett's Jeff Jarrett's booking himself that way. He's booking himself that way. You know, people was just hating the fact that Jeff Jarrett kept winning or retaining the title because he was just that, great of a heel. So, but that's crazy. That's a crazy story, man. You told that story like you were there. Snap. If WWE agreed, I don't know what the future holds for Jordan Grace and TNA, but let's just say, all right, 3 matches. That's it. They're using the one for NXT already. She's gonna face somebody from Raw and SmackDown. Who do you got? Who are you going with?
Hmm. Unfortunately, we know which one is likely going to be with her, and it's going to more than likely be Natalia. Um, Only because she, at this point, is the type that is going
Hmm.
to be used to elevate new talent.
Right.
Um, the only bad thing is we're going to have to stick to hearing that same
You think that's
Natalia
no?
Neidhart
Hold on.
promo.
That you think that's what WWE is gonna pick, or is that your pick?
I would say that's probably one of their first main roster feuds
Feuds. Okay.
because Natalia is going to be
A feud
cutting a
is
similar promo. The
too.
pro,
I feel like one match as her first opponent on the main roster. I think Natalia is a great pick, whether if it's on the television show or premium live event. Natalia is a great pick, but to have like a feud for like a few weeks, it's like no, I feel like that's on call for.
Well, I'll see her as inviting her, but also giving her the AJ Styles or her version of that AJ Styles promo of she's built this company, she's been here for so long, it's in her blood, and then cutting the
Mm,
usual I'm Bret Hart's niece, Jim Neidhart's daughter, trying to reestablish who she is,
right.
and then
I
or
think
maybe
if
even
that
more like
if that's the route, I like that. I like that route, what you just mentioned. But I think that would fit perfectly if Natalia goes to Impact. If Natalia
which she
goes
should.
to yeah,
That
if
would be a good
it
trade actually.
yeah, if Natalia goes
Give
to Impact, and at least that way she
give
could get that feel of it and be like, "Ooh,
give them
maybe I
that
should come
veteran
over here."
exposure, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you
Oh
haven't had a
yeah.
veteran exposure since Naomi and Mickey James.
Yeah.
Everyone else is fresh. you might as well consider it another NXT brand at this point, TNA,
Oh, for sure.
because that's what it is. It's developmental right now for everyone. You, anybody who's a veteran is also doing part time or getting the same exposure as Mustafa Ali.
The TNA can actually be the ECW for WWE, and that's what Shane McMahon wanted. He wanted, yes, WWE owns the ECW, but this is separate. This is just an online thing. You know, you may see some WWE superstars here and there, you know, but you know, this is just like a separate universe kind of thing. And but then obviously Spike, not Spike, Sci-Fi or whatever, somebody reached out, wanted to put them on the network, and that's when Vince took over. But that's what it could be. This could be TNA for them, where it's
So from
like,
Raw, it would have to be Natalia, and then from SmackDown, I'm not sure at this point. Like, it can't be Naomi because that's just another. It's the same thing as TNA. So she was on there
yeah.
enough for her to have that
I
match.
wouldn't say for Naomi not to have a feud, but to team up with. Like she needs a tag team partner. And then Jordan Grace helps out. But I don't know if there's anybody for them to face tag team wise. Just to have like a quick feud on SmackDown. I don't think there's that many women tag teams on SmackDown. But for me, for SmackDown, I'll definitely gotta go with I was gonna say Natalia because I assume she's on SmackDown.
No, she's on Raw right now.
She's
She's
on Raw. Damn,
yeah.
I don't want to use her for Raw. I wouldn't even know who I would say for Raw. Who is on Raw? That's a good question right now. Let's find out right now who's on Raw. Other than that, um, besides Natalia, who else would you like to see go from WWE to TNA?
Well, the most obvious one, she's already done everything she can here, so it would have to be Charlotte upon return.
Charlotte? Okay. I was gonna say Charlotte as well.
That would be her
Um,
giving back and trying to mold the next generation of women wrestlers. Um, she's already done almost every. She's pretty much done everything she can in the WWE. Even have her own version of her dad's title reign, and
ooh, so I
unless
would
she's gonna
say,
be,
oh my
unless
bad,
she's
go
gonna
ahead.
be, unless she's gonna be doing what she did during the pandemic and face as many of the next NXT girls as there possibly can, uh, that's where she should probably go for a bit.
Do you think she
Not
should get
because
a title shot right away? Do you think she should win it? Or is it just more like I'm here, just gonna put people over or put myself over, but it's like a learning experience for yourself?
yeah, I would say similar to what the Dudleys, but I think you should get a title reign
Mm.
so that she builds the next NXT Women's Champion or TNA Women's Champion. That's going to be the one that's going to carry the brand after they take it off of her. So almost a transitional, but
All right.
a well driven transitional title reign.
Mm. So I got my picks finally. So I'm gonna go with Chelsea Green for SmackDown, and then I'm gonna go with Io Sky for Raw. I would say Liv Morgan if she wasn't women's champion because I feel like that would be better for both of them because and also you know how Liv Morgan's basically she's going I don't know since you know she's women's champion I don't know if she's still gonna go crazy but you know how she was going crazy a little bit there um at least that way, if Jordan Grace defeats her on Raw, Liv Morgan goes crazy and then shows up on on TNA Impact taping, just be like, nah, you ain't gonna do me like that. It's like you ain't
Right.
gonna show up to my show and beat me. I'm gonna show up to yours and then I'm gonna beat you, and then that's gonna start like a great feud right there. So that would be my pick. Also, and of course, the obvious choice: Charlotte Flair, Becky, Bianca. But that's more like pay-per-view. That's more of a build-up. And the chances of us getting that while Jordan Grace is still in TNA, it's not gonna happen. Would it definitely happen when she's in TN when she joins WWE? 100%. But we gotta wait until that day happens. Who knows how long her contract, is with TNA. And also curious if she would even ask for her release to go join with WWE.
Well, if the merger ends up happening, you won't necessarily need to be released. It would have to be another brand, very likely.
Oh yeah, that's true. If
But
they do decide to
keep the
do
TNA
that.
moniker because but you keep the TNA moniker so that way you can continue to discuss the history of the title reigns, and
Mm,
it gives credibility to AJ Styles, Kurt Angle, Samoa Joe, all the guys that left the business, so that they can add those title reigns to their names, not just the unignored Vince title reigns. He doesn't.
Well, speaking of AJ Styles pulled a Mark Henry, faked his retirement, attacked Cody Rhodes. Um, I knew AJ Styles was not going to retire that way. Clearly, this was to build up a match once again. Cody Rhodes versus AJ Styles for the WWE Universal Undisputed Championship, King of the Mountain, whatever. So many words in that title now. Assuming it's gonna happen at Clash of the Champion. Well, Clash of the Castle, right? Clash of the Castle. Was
Clash.
so I heard there's rumors that we're gonna get a third match, AJ Styles and Cody Rhodes and Money in the Bank. That it's gonna be a last man standing match. I don't know how true that would be. I'm down for that. And camera just smacked my
I
computer.
just don't want the Nakamura AJ Styles double dick kick. To,
When did that happen? Was that at back? That was at a backlash, right?
yes, and it was a
Wasn't it in
backlash
the
after
wasn't
WrestleMania.
yeah, the backlash after WrestleMania, and that was that the one in Chicago too?
No, Chicago was 2017.
2017. Okay. 17. No, was it 7? Yeah, yeah, because that was the Ginger Mahal one. Okay. Yeah, you're right on that. No, that I hope not. I mean, we didn't get that for Backlash. We didn't get that for Backlash. I'm pretty sure we're not gonna get that for Clash at the Castle. Um, I am curious if this match does happen, Clash of the Castle, if it's gonna be the main event or if it's gonna be Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest. So, do you think Damian Priest is gonna? Sorry, do you think CM Punk is going to screw Damian Priest for the title?
Ah, good question. Considering the fact that his eyes are on Drew, um, that would have to be him attempting to hit Drew with the chair or that same priest.
Mm,
Um, but then you'd lose the in doing so you'd lose the match build between CM Punk and Drew that is likely to happen at SummerSlam.
okay.
So it's a plus minus kind of thing because then you get the once again match one on one this time of Drew and Gunther, which is likely going to be, as Sheamus says, a banger because these two
Not
guys
wrong
are
there.
stiff shotters. You know, they're probably right now the only guys in the modern world that would have maybe succeeded back in the 80s and 90s where everybody did the stiff shots, the Harley races, the young Jerry Lawlers that always love to throw the punch and then take a receipt back,
Jerry Lawler
because they were
versus
trying to
Gunther will
make
be a
everything.
classic match. Jerry Lawler versus Gunther will be a classic match.
So yeah, it gives you that, but no, I think he'll wind up. I think Priest ends up retaining via
The world title.
via, via JD. JD is going to redeem himself at some point, and after all the screw ups, helping out Priest.
Mm.
Um, if anyone's going to cost him a title, I think it's going to wind up being Finn Balor.
I don't want no, because I would rather have Damian, or sorry, I would rather have Finn Balor take the title away from Damian, not costing him. Because it's like you're gonna start a feud with no title. I hate that. It's like I want to start a feud with you with the title because I want to take the title away from you, not cost you the title so somebody else can win it.
Now, unfortunately, I don't see Gunther winning the world title anytime soon, but he's going to keep that
Regardless of who he
king.
face,
He already has
regardless,
the right. Yeah. Regardless, he has a crown. That's going to give him that being king for the next year. Uh,
damn.
I just think it's
That's
a little too soon to put the title in him. As much as I would love to see him win the world title,
yeah,
uh,
especially after he just had a 660 66 days title reign and he dropped the title at WrestleMania. You know, I don't want to say he lost his momentum because he was gone, but once he came back, he redeemed himself by winning the King of the Ring tournament. And now he's going to go on and be in the main event at SummerSlam for the World Heavyweight title, either against Damian Priest or Drew McIntyre. I will say I don't think Gunther should win. If Drew McIntyre or Damian Priest, whoever's champion, I feel like they should retain their title against Gunther. It's just too soon for him. And again, I wouldn't say it's too soon. It's not too soon for him to be world champion. It's too soon for him to have another title. That's what's too
yeah.
soon about. Um, And also, like, yeah, and he wins. It's like, damn, how long is he gonna be champion again? It's kind of like the Brock Lesnar. It's like, oh yeah, finally they finally took the title off him, and it's like 2 or 3 months later, it's like, damn, he's
He,
champion
t- he,
again.
yeah, he takes the other title from the other brand.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's like, oh my gosh, it's like I want to see you wrestle, dude, but it's like I don't want to see you as champion all the time, you know. But maybe it'll be different because at least this time it'll be in the main event for Gunther. Um, SummerSlam, Slammiversary. Two big pay-per-views for TNA and WWE. Um, Trying to go back to AJ Styles, do you think AJ Styles is gonna have a match at Slammiversary? And do you think he's gonna have a big match at SummerSlam? Do you think he's even gonna have a match at SummerSlam? Do you think what's the goal for AJ Styles? Because the timing of it is kind of like okay, WWE and TNA are working together, and then AJ Styles is talking about his retirement, and this marks their TNA has been in TNA has been around for 22 years, I believe. So you know,
Did he ever
Slammiver.
really? Did he ever drop that title after leaving TNA, or did he just carry that belt with him and do what CM Punk should have done?
Ooh,
And I know he did tour for a while.
I know that answer. I know that answer. So AJ Styles won the TNA World Heavyweight title against Bully Ray back in 2013.
Mm.
Um, so his contract expired. So he technically owned the title. He never lost it. But his contract expired. He never re-signed with the company because, of a pay cut. But apparently he still was signed with the company. So he took the title, was going on tour, came back, faced Magnus, for the TNA to crown the real world heavyweight title, but it turned out to be a squash match because AJ Styles is basically not employed with the company, and so Magnus took the title away from him when they finally had a one-on-one match. I personally felt where they dropped the ball. They dropped the ball on this one because I think they could have built it up to a pay-per-view and they didn't.
See, and that had they not done that, had AJ just kept the title, they just said, "Hey, we're now gonna retire the TNA title and had they brought the Impact title at that point, that
Mm.
could have led to what
Yeah,
my idea would have
yeah,
been.
because I think at that point, they rebrand to Impact Wrestling, right?
Yeah, and they call it Anthem Wrestling after a certain point. So, seeing as Moose doesn't have too many legit opponents, everyone right now is just like NXT. They're all fresh. They're all any
Yeah.
possible challenge. That's why they needed Nick Namath to go to TNA because they needed somebody that was decorated
Same thing
to
with
put
Matt
him
Hardy.
over. So imagine had they not had AJ drop the belt
Right.
and AJ decides to show up with the real TNA
TNA World Heavyweight
World
title.
Heavyweight Champion.
Damn.
So that's another way you can elevate both the champion, give credibility to the probably one of the most decorated TNA wrestlers of all time, and give them a SummerSlam like pay per view.
Mm. So,
This
man,
way, when he
God,
takes
that
time
that's a good
off,
one. That's a good one, right?
if he was to take time off
Right.
during something between Money in the Bank and SummerSlam,
Hmm.
and went over to TNA to do that build, then comes back out of nowhere after SummerSlam and attacks one of the champions to build up for the next fall pay per view.
Mm.
That should be that
Bound for
AJ Styles
Glory.
timeline.
Bound for Glory, because Bound for Glory is the TNA's main event. Because Slammiversary is it's their. I personally feel it should be their WrestleMania, but I get it. Um, what's it called? It's their anniversary. It's just like it's their birthday. That's why it's not their WrestleMania. Bound for Glory is. Um, so I feel like because Moose, he is part of the group called the System with Eddie Edwards, Brian Myers, former Kurt Hawkins, right, in WWE. So they're called the System, right? I feel like if they could build like a story where it's like for AJ Styles, where it's like things are not going his way, it's like, hey, bro, Moose could like tap Adam, just trust the system, find a way for him to join the system. It's like if you're not gonna give me a title shot, I'll come over here, and he could join the system to help him get a title shot, and then just like kind of like swerve and go against Moose at Slammiversary. So we get AJ Styles versus Moose for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship at Slammiversary. Um, I feel like that would be pretty cool. Uh, to see happen. I don't, and then but obviously that's not gonna happen because AJ Styles is a heel at the moment. So it's like, and then Moose is a heel as well. So they would need a face in WWE to go to TNA or a TNA heel to go to WWE or some. They gotta find a way to make it work. Uh, but yeah, to see the system, I mean, the system to go against JD, that would be pretty cool. Um, Moose actually wrestled in even though the show was a TNA under a TNA umbrella, but he Moose wrestled in the AEW ring when he went against Kenny Omega, but that doesn't really count for what Jordan's gonna be doing. Yeah. AJ Styles versus Moose for the TNA World Heavyweight title. I'm down for that though. I'm down for that. Mike Bailey would
So
be a
then,
good one too.
so then I guess that raises the question of who does Cody face between by WrestleMania? Because by the time he's done with AJ, there's nobody besides
Mm,
maybe Solo or Randy that are kind of credible enough for him to face in a main event like match. Especially when it comes to heels, you don't have really
right.
that many opponents besides Logan Paul, and Logan
What's
Paul's gonna be working with more than likely LA Knight between now and then.
Well, the tough one with Solo is when was the last time he had a singles match?
John Cena.
Yeah.
And
So
he,
Tonga versus Cody Rhodes, I'll see that. But is it main event worthy?
well, I don't think this. I think Raw would have to close the show because you have the King of the Ring being the challenger for
Oh,
the world title.
you're right.
So
You're
it gives
right.
Gunther the main event.
So Gunther, the main event against it has to either yeah. So most likely will be Drew because this will be last year's rematch, and we're gonna get Drew and Gunther too for the but this time for the world heavyweight title, and this is probably the one where Gunther either wins the world title or Drew McIntyre gets a W over Gunther finally because he finally defeats Gunther. But how would that work with the whole anti-hero gimmick that Drew is doing? Will that still work with, facing Gunther? Will we still want him to beat Gunther? Or will we, you know, will we want CM Punk to screw Drew McIntyre so Gunther to win? Or will we want Drew McIntyre to defeat Gunther? Because it's like he never defeated him. So it's like, who do we root for this match? Like, who do we root for in this match?
And then does the Money in the Bank winner cash in on them?
Oh yeah, I forgot about Money in the Bank. Who's gonna win Money in
You
the
don't.
Bank?
If Damian Priest retains, I think it's Finn Balor.
Finn Balor. Finn Balor wins the Money in the Bank briefcase. That's if he's even in the ladder match. But Finn Balor, that would be a nice one. Finn Balor, holding the briefcase, while Damian Priest is world heavyweight champion. That that's that's gonna be
That's going to be like an
that's gonna be a
evolution kind of thing. You're going to have
mm,
Priest constantly trying to convince him to cash in on
Cody
Cody,
Rhodes.
and Finn will tease him every now and then, but he has to remember that I was the boss before you made yourself the boss.
Was Finn Balor ever the boss?
When it was Seth, yeah, when it was against Seth, he was the one calling the shots,
Mm,
and then that's where Priest was like, "There's no leader here," and then Rhea said, "Maybe for you guys," but without actually saying that she was the leader. She remember
damn.
she kept having those during the segments you'd see her in the background with John Cena, her in the background with someone else
Right.
communicating, her in the background with um who's the GM of Raw,
Adam?
Adam Pierce.
Yeah,
So
Adam
you had her
Pierce.
in the background talking to different people, and then you'd have Priest going like, "What was that all about?"
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, I remember those times. Yeah, you're right. But then she would never, then like she would do leader stuff, but she would never say she was the leader. So,
Right.
but we all knew who was the leader. It's like we all knew who it was. It was mommy. Mommy's the leader. But all right, it's that time of the show, Andres. Want to let everybody know, please hit that like and subscribe. Um, all the links in the bio. Andres, it's time for Would You Rather. All right, so bear with me. All right, this is Would You Rather front row tickets. Okay, so who would you rather have front row tickets to one of these live events? The first one is Stone Cold Steve Austin versus The Rock, WrestleMania 17, or Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns, WrestleMania 40. Which one would you rather sit front row?
Uh,
It's a tough choice. I would like to believe so.
Even though it didn't end well, I would have to say Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns,
You said it didn't
just because.
end well.
Well, you said 40, right? Not 41.
Well, 41 hasn't happened, but yes, 40.
Yeah. So,
What do you
uh,
mean it didn't end well? You wanted Roman Reigns to retain?
oh, I'm thinking. Sorry, I'm counting them backwards. I'm counting 2 years
30,
ago. Yeah,
39.
yeah. Okay, so
Yeah,
no, then yes, definitely Roman versus Cody
Cody.
because
But
just
finish the
that
story
whole
one.
the whole way it ended, and then um having Samantha Irving emotionally
Hmm.
announce that finish. Um, as much as I would have loved to see The Rock and Austin. I think Backlash was a better match for them, in my
Right.
opinion, than WrestleMania because um, Shane being involved in the mix, I think, made it more of a better storytelling than Mick Foley, who was already kind of like limping towards the ring to try to be the special enforcer for the
Are you getting
finish.
confused with two
And
matches, or are you just saying which one did you prefer more? Because 17 is the one in
oh
Houston.
wait, no, yeah, yeah,
The
I'm
one
thinking
that
of
yeah, the one that
Philly.
you're talking
Yeah,
about is Philly. That's 15. Oh, I should have got. I guess I should have done 15 then. They're both in Philly. I didn't really thought about that one.
yeah,
I did.
that's what I was thinking. That you were really trying to do the two Philly ones.
No, I didn't thought about that one. I
No, you
did
know what?
17. I
Nah,
thought I did 17. WrestleMania 17 in
17,
Houston. So let's start
7.
over.
All
Would
right,
you
so I would
rather
say
front row tickets to WrestleMania 17, the main event of Stone Cold, Steve Austin versus The Rock, or the main event of WrestleMania 40, Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes? Which one would you rather have front row tickets to? And it's
I'd
not
still
the
say
whole show, just the main event.
I would still say Cody versus Roman because I was a bigger Rock fan for
Mhm.
WrestleMania 17. And I noticed that during the whole match, the crowd was cheering Austin because it's Texas,
Yeah.
and it's been how long since he was wrestling, and this was his this was
And
his
you be an
Cinderella story coming back.
outsider.
I would have been. Everybody would have probably tried to kill me for rooting for The
Yeah.
Rock.
You wouldn't even be cheering. You just be there.
E-
You
Even
like you
even
just be
even
enjoying
even
it.
even that handshake with Vince, they were
Right.
still cheering for Austin, but because they all were waiting for him to stun Vince, and it didn't happen.
Yeah, it never happened. That's when people started booing him.
And I think you had to watch that one from as much as being there in person, sitting at home with the commentary made it more of a story with JR screaming into the microphone, son of a
Mm,
bitch, son of a
yeah.
Stone Cold has sold his soul to Satan
Yeah.
himself. That was the equivalency of Samantha's emotional call.
Mm.
So
Okay, that's a nice
that one
comparison.
felt better. That one was a lot better watching emotionally from behind from the couch as it would have been emotionally seeing Cody finish the story and getting uh that hard to swallow uh emotion from
Yeah.
him getting the belt that his dad never got, him holding on to a title that Dusty was robbed of.
His brother never hold either. He had opportunity, never his brother never even had that kind of moment. He wrestled at WrestleMania, but he never had that moment.
No, I think Dustin would have had that more in WCW. As long as he was Goldust in WWE, he was
Mhm.
never going to get that through Vince
Right.
because he never had that look.
Yeah, I can see that.
He had the wrestling physique. He didn't have the superstar physique that Vince would have required of him.
Yeah, he had the WCW look. He just didn't have. He had the WCW look. He had the TNA look, the AEW look, the ECW look, NWA look. But he did not have the WWE look.
No, he was an attitude character. That's what he was.
Yeah.
Um, so it would have been hard for him to have been that world champion unless he went through the Gunther physique change. Maybe he would have been
Mm.
taken more credible then. Maybe he would have. Maybe if he would have been allowed to carry the Rhodes name instead of the Runnels name.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's
The
I
best
thought
way
that
to
was
have done
more.
it.
I thought that was more on what's it called? What's it called on Dusty Rhodes call that he using the his actual last name.
Well, it's also some big shoes to have filled. Same with with Ric Flair. He
Yeah.
needed a daughter to fill in his shoes. His sons could never fill in those shoes. None of them.
Oh yeah. Especially David Flair.
Maybe that's what Dusty didn't want for Dustin to carry that name and then not be able to live up to the moment.
Mm,
Um, but maybe had they built on that the artist formerly known as Goldust and really pushed for Dustin Rhodes to build himself to physically build himself better the way Gunther did back then, maybe he would have had not the title reign, but at least that main event spot.
right.
But as long as you had Vince doing Vince Russo booking in the 90s, that was never going to take place.
Yeah, they killed the Goldust gimmick. I felt like they just ruined it. They turned it in a direction where it was like it was very uncalled for, unnecessary because Goldust could have been a big megastar for WWE. Um, it had a film protection. It was like it was Bray Wyatt before Bray Wyatt was even a thing, you know? It was the Firefly Funhouse before it was even a thing. And but like you said, Vince Russo ruined everything.
As much as you want to give credit to Shawn starting the Attitude Era, it really did start with Goldust because Goldust and Mankind at the time were the ones that were pushing that envelope that
Hmm.
led to the Attitude Era. They were already in that. They were already in that pool while everybody else was still trying to hold on to the golden age time.
Yeah. And then once Val Venus and Gangrel got into the picture, that's when we knew, okay, it's a new era now. Once they got in the picture, we knew it was a new era. Oh, what a time to be a wrestling fan. A lot has changed. A lot has changed, but in a way, nothing has really changed. It's just more of evolved.
Yep,
It's just different
definitely.
times. That's all it is. But taking going back in time, I got another game, calling it One More Match with The Undertaker. So
Ooh.
it's kind of like this or that. So obviously, one more match with The Undertaker. Who do you got? The Undertaker versus Gunther or Braun Breaker?
I would have to say Gunther.
Gunther.
As
Tell
much
me
as I,
why.
because he's not Meng,
That's
and
true.
this would be the guy that Undertaker could give a receipt to for those chops. Uh,
Ooh.
I don't know if you heard his podcast interview a few weeks ago. He mentioned how when Haku and Rikishi did their little short term um, alliance back in
Hmm.
2001, this is when Haku and him were attacking him and Kane, and Haku gave him that very super stiff, loud chop that he's known for,
Jeez. To The
and
Undertaker?
Undertaker forgot
Oh
who had
my
chopped him for a
gosh.
moment. That he did that whole grabbing him by the throat, throwing him to the ropes, and just as he was about to punch, he was like, "Oh, wait, let me do a rib shot instead, because I know who I'm about to give a receipt to, and
Right. Yeah.
I don't need that type of headbutt." So for that
You
reason, I
just
would have to say
received a
Gunther.
bad chop, and if you give him a receipt, you're just gonna get another one.
Yeah, and
So
I don't want Braun to get a little hot and then give him the spear that Goldberg probably should have given Undertaker. And then now we
right,
have Dead Man injured again, and no, and I think Gunther has a lot more stamina also to carry a match.
that's true.
So
I feel like if
was
you're
Braun Breaker's
gonna give the Undertaker 10 minutes, I think Gunther is the one. If it's gonna be like a quick 5 minute match, then Braun Breaker is the guy.
all he's going to do is a spot fest, and then
Yeah.
either he takes the pin or he gets the win. Whereas
Yeah, he's gonna get his ass kicked by the Undertaker for like 3 minutes, and then the comeback is gonna be spear, 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 power slam, spear, and that's it. Kick out here and there for a choke slam into, tombstone. They're gonna have a nice match, don't get me wrong. They're gonna have, it's gonna turn out fantastic, but it's still gonna be a squash match, though. It's gonna be one-sided. It's gonna, that's all it's gonna be. But with Gunther, like you said, Gunther can help carry that match. Um, is there an era if you had to choose if you're able to go back and choose a era, which Undertaker would it be?
uh, it would have to be Phenom Taker for Gunther, but it would have to be 2007 Phenom Taker, where
Woo!
he was at his
Hey,
best
Replace
physique.
Batista? Replace Batista with Gunther for that
And
WrestleMania?
if it's Braun Breaker, it has to be 2001 American Badass Taker.
Everybody always says that. When it comes to Braun Breaker, it has to be the American Badass for some reason. I get it. I see it too, but it's like, why though?
It's like with Brock. Brock did not take the Phenom serious, even though
Mm,
it looked badass. The
right.
Undertaker with the super shredder look, it it worked for that moment.
Yeah.
But in 2004, it wouldn't have worked. That's why you
No.
needed Brock and Goldberg to happen because Brock was not going to sell uh, a character in that sense. His
That he
focus is
yeah, he'll F
if he
up.
looks like
Like
he, yeah, if he looks like he can, I'll face him.
yeah,
But if you're gonna have a bunch of nonsense that he doesn't believe in, then he's not gonna sell that match.
right. And that's why he
That
refused to face
I think
Bray
that's
Wyatt.
I think that's the same thing with Braun Breaker. You can't have him face a gimmick character. It
Mm.
would both destroy the person that he's facing, and then if he's not a good facial expression of fear kind of character, it would then diminish the
Yeah.
match even more.
Unless it's something like a Mankind or a Gangrel, because it's like you're creepy, you know. The Undertaker, it's more of like an illusion. Obviously, he's a big guy comparing to who he's facing, but compared to Brock Lesnar, I'm pretty sure, he said it himself years ago. He's the type of guy that if he's walking in the forest and he sees Jason walking around, from Friday the 13th, he's like, I'm gonna fight him. I'm not gonna run away. I'm gonna fight him. So he's like, if I'll fight Jason, why would I be scared of the Undertaker? It's just like, so I get it why he doesn't want to face that kind of gimmick. There's certain gimmicks like that could work and it could be pulled off. Um, so for me, would you rather I would go with Braun Breaker. For the Undertaker gimmick, I'm gonna go with '08 Undertaker. '08 or '09 Undertaker. That's when Undertaker still had the dead man gimmick, but he wasn't really using it to scare you comparing to how he did it back in '04 to like '06, I believe. I think once '07, basically once he started feuding with Batista, and again, I guess it just works with certain wrestlers because when he feuded with Batista, it was all strength and power. Don't let this gimmick fool you. I could kick your ass. But when he started feuding with Edge, that's when it's all mind tricks, mind games, the fogs, the lights out and stuff like that. So I feel like it really depends. So, you know, in '09, The Undertaker was still tearing it. He was still able to go. I mean, obviously that's when he had that classic match with Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 25. I just would have not had, obviously not given Undertaker time off, that much of a time off. Um, but yeah, I feel like that era of the Undertaker to face current Braun Breaker would be a classic match. It's about like '09 Undertaker. Here's another one more match with the Undertaker. The Undertaker versus Finn Balor or Damian Priest.
The Prince versus bisexual Undertaker.
There you go, man. Which one you going? Which one you got to go with?
Uh, I would have to say Damian Priest. No offense to Finn Balor, but
Mm. Is it because of the
um,
size difference?
no, Roman ruined the demon
Or you? Oh,
when they
okay.
did when they did the turnbuckle stunt and never gave an explanation as to why.
Yeah.
You could have built around something. You could have built the fact that somebody in the bloodline cut the rope, or had we had Bray Wyatt at that time, that could have
Mm.
rebuilt a
Re
uh,
re re flame
restart a rivalry.
yeah.
Because the last time Bray and Finn faced each other, Finn was the human version.
Yes.
He didn't call upon the demon to take over and continue the rivalry. used it to take time off to heal up, then went to NXT and stayed in NXT during the pandemic. So it ended up leading to a missed opportunity that could have built around it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Plus,
But
Bray it was already released, so between those two losses, you could have built something around it, and then Edge really ruined the Demon by beating him in a Hell in a Cell.
yeah, I feel that Finn Balor should have won. There was no
But
need
I
for
think
Edge to win.
I
I mean, I understood why
Ed-
Edge needed to
Edge still could
win.
have lost. Edge still could have lost, but once you opened up that gash that he had in his head, you had to give the win to Edge because you don't know how much more blood Finn would have lost before he would have passed out.
Yeah. And
And
also that actually that kind of saved the gimmick for me because it just showed that it's like, oh, you just made him weak. It fits into the story because he's this demon, you know? And then you just found like, it's a nice story because people say, oh, it got ruined, the match got ruined earlier. I feel like that share shot added to it because it cut him. He's this demon. It kind of like, in a way, made him human again. And that's the reason why Edge was able to defeat him.
now, had beaten him after being after blood was shed, it could have been something. It could have been what Roman's blood face should have been. When
Mm,
Roman got upset from the Crimson Mask, he should have. It was a Vince call, but he should have gone over Brock at that point.
right.
If it was supposed to trigger him, that should have led to him beating Brock with the Crimson Mask.
Mm,
So that's what should have had Finn capitalize on that, and had they let booking decide to that was probably a Vince call because that was the last time the Vince took care of a WrestleMania.
yeah,
So had they let Finn win as a result of the bloodshed, then that would have been like, okay, even though he's human, the demon side of him got upset that you made him
bleed.
spill blood, and
Right.
now that only infuriated him enough to get the win over.
Hmm.
Because from that point on, Finn was still main eventing, but then he started losing and losing and losing and losing to that through the Seth Rollins and everything else.
Yeah.
He only started getting wins when he started tag teaming with Priest.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's why I feel it would be better for Priest because Priest boosted from
Mm,
that point on. Finn went back down to the mid card.
okay. So you feel like if you have the Undertaker going against Finn Balor, you feel like it just wouldn't do anything for him.
No, not unless he
He's the
really.
Unless he's the demon character, but the demon character got ruined for you. So it's like, why would I book him? I might as well just book somebody who I can actually use. So Damian Priest, that's fair. I'm gonna still go with with Finn Balor. I'm gonna go with Finn Balor regardless what you said about him. How dare you, sir? Poor Finn Balor. Oh man, he has the six packs that I want. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Now I got an odd one right here. Send my main event right here. All right. Bear with me. The Undertaker teams up with Michelle McCool versus Dominic Mysterio and Rhea Ripley. Or would you rather have Undertaker and Michelle McCool face Seth freaking Rollins and Becky Lynch?
Rhea and Dom because I know I want to see Taker just beat the ever living crap out of Dom, and then out of nowhere, after Rhea hits Michelle with her finisher, that she
The Fate
actually tries to
Breaker.
step. Yeah, the how she tries to step to Undertaker, and then Taker's just like screw it, and then
Chokes,
just
yeah.
uppercuts her.
I wouldn't say uppercut her, just choke slam her. Choke slam her right straight to hell. No, I would
Double choke
totally
slam
pick,
to
yeah.
Dom and Rhea.
Undertaker choke slam mommy, Michelle McCool choke slam Dominic, or the do a last ride. Last ride at the same time. They could have that little moment. You know how Kane picks up, I believe it was Funaki, try to go for a last ride and it drops him back. Michelle could do
so
that
she
with
so she
Dominic.
as she drops it.
Yeah, picks him up at last ride and it just drops him and like behind her and like, what are you doing? Last ride.
I don't remember. I don't remember which of the WWE games it was, but or maybe it was one of the professional wrestling ones. But there was one that somebody created where when you started to be able to create your own finisher, and they created a
Mm.
tag team. They modded a tag team finish. It's a double power bomb, but then the two smack the lifted characters against each other and then power bomb them simultaneously. So they do the lift,
Hmm.
they ram both backsides into each other, and then they do the double power bomb at the
Doesn't
same time.
APO do that as a finish?
Was that Authors of Pain finish? They
Yeah.
slammed the
Yeah. I think that's their finish. They pick them up as a power bomb. They run towards each other in the middle. The people they're holding back to back, and then they turn around and then slam them on the ground. So they power bomb. Yeah, I think that's their finishers.
so imagine imagine
AOP.
Taker and
AOP.
Michelle McCool doing the last ride that way
Oh,
to
okay. So
to
like
Diamond Rhea.
running. Oh, okay, nice. Like
Now
pick him
now
up and then
insert
run. Yeah, running towards him, and the
insert
Undertaker's just
the
like, "What the hell are you doing?"
insert the Bludgeon Brothers power bomb to that jobber that screamed like a woman, and have Dom do the same scream
Oh, okay. Yeah, there you
from
go.
Michelle McCool power bomb.
Just have Dominic scream. And then Dominic could just be like, everybody be like, damn, man, I can't believe you screamed like a girl. No, that wasn't me. That was mommy. That was mommy who was screaming. JD could get in the mix as well. He could get power bomb. Probably
Big
get
head.
tombstone. Make that big head of his paralyzed. Nah, we wouldn't want that. I got a big head too, JD. Top and bottom. Ayo. And it's time for the main event. The Undertaker. Who would you rather have one more match with? Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare, or the Tribal Chief, Roman Reigns? I know we
Roman
had Roman
Reigns.
Reigns in the past, but this is the Tribal Chief,
I
man.
want him to get his win back after that
Man, Undertaker's going
horrible.
over.
I'd want him to get that win back after getting that horrible match. It was painful to see that match, man. It was
It
like
was. It was. Especially, it should have never
seeing
closed out the show.
seeing your seeing your childhood one of your childhood heroes just not be able to move like
Perform.
they used to.
Yeah.
Like it really started to make you really acknowledge
The age.
the sacrifice he did. Well, not so much the age, I mean, because
But yeah, oh
if
yeah, the sacrifice, the wear and tear that he put in his body just to entertain us.
Billy Gunn's only a few years younger than him, and look at him, look
But
at his
that's because
physique,
he's
look at
still
it,
active. He's still working out every day, 5 days a week, and also
and
active in the ring.
he also had a lot of injuries. Not obviously the same ones that Taker did.
Yeah.
I think the really hurt Taker was the uh,
Taking
the
time off.
match between him and the match between him and Mick Foley when he was Mankind,
Mm.
the backstage boiler room brawl. Because he said the moment that he landed on his hip from that ladder, it's never been the same.
Oh
So
yeah.
that's always what prolonged his time off.
Yeah.
Always having hip injuries as a result. If you eliminated that spot, maybe he wouldn't have had such extended period of time off, and
Yeah.
you could have had a little bit more endurance from him at that Mania between him and Roman. But it's always been hip injuries that's kept him from doing more than 20-minute matches when the 2010s started coming around.
Yeah. I think the one match was unnecessary was probably Hell in the Cell. I feel like if that match would have not happened and the amount of bumps they took, because they had a 30-minute match, and I feel like that was very unnecessary. I feel like if we were gonna get the 30-minute match, it should have been against, Roman, but obviously we weren't, that was not gonna happen. Um, uh, I think, Undertaker should have just had a quick 10-minute match, quick solid 10-minute match. Let's get this done and over with. And he should have not retired because it's like, nah, this is not it. I don't know why he thought that was it for him. It's like, bro, you didn't even left in a good note. I don't know why you're like, if you were gonna retire, WrestleMania 31 would have been the night for you. It would have been the best one. 32 would have been great too, but it was mainly the fact that he was facing, Shane McMahon. It's like, yeah, no, buddy, we need one more match. And then that's why the Undertaker's, and then it just kept escalating from that point. That's why the Undertaker kept coming back. It was like, I need one more. I need one more. This isn't it. Okay, this is it. Nope, I need one more, and just kept coming back, and he finally got it. He wished it would have been in front of a crowd when he faced AJ Styles, but he did say that he finally got closure at WrestleMania 40. And it wasn't even in a match. It was just him showing up in front of that crowd and choke slamming The Rock of all people. Of all
When
people
I
for him to
when
come back at
I
WrestleMania.
see that, I when I seen that spot, I didn't so much see the American Badass or the Phenom. What I saw was the lo- um what is that thing?
The
The
locker room
wrestler's
later?
court. That's what he
Oh,
was. The wrestler's court
mm,
judge. That's
the
what
judge.
Undertaker was in that moment. The very last
Damn, that's nice.
back room, the very last time the locker room leader had to right a wrong. Because remember,
Mm,
Taker's focus after his last title reign was more giving back to the business. I mean, all that time that he's been the locker room leader, he was trying to help elevate guys, whether
yeah.
it's push them further up the mid card, put him up to the main event. He saw something. He was pretty much Paul Heyman in that moment. He saw something in guys that Vince wasn't seeing. He's seen the commodity in them. He's seen the thing that kids were reacting to, and so he helped try pushing as many guys as possible. Whether it was
Hmm.
even if it was even if he was getting the win, he was trying to give them moments.
Yeah.
And um, him helping Cody in that moment was the very last time the judge of the wrestlers court settled a hearing almost.
Yeah. It's like I'm here to level the playing field now.
Yep.
So, because I was disappointed because who when I went, I was telling everybody, and I even made a prediction like Stone Cold Steve Austin's gonna show up. Stone Cold Steve Austin, Stone Cold Steve Austin. And I'm glad I had that mindset because as soon as I hear that bell, that dawn, man, the lights went out. Chills, chills. I started crying a little bit, freaking out. I was just going crazy. Lights go back on, and I see the Undertaker in the ring with The Rock, and it was just a great moment, a great storytelling. And I never really saw it from that point of view. Like you said, it was just like he's the judge, you know, for that match and try to level the playing field. And basically, The Rock kind of just went, you know, took the power too far, went crazy with power and all that. And the Undertaker was there to make it like, nope, we're here to make things right. And that's what happened. Cody Rhodes, WWE champion. A lot of finishing the stories. Jordan Grace, she has a story to finish that we have no idea where it's going. you know,
Everyone's finishing a story these days.
Everybody has a story to finish. I'm trying to finish my story by this year and start a new one by next year. But you said for Will You Rather, or sorry, not Will You Rather, one more match, The Undertaker, you say you're going to go with Roman Reigns,
Yeah.
the Tribal Chief. I'm going to go with Roman Reigns, the Tribal Chief, because I feel like that would be a great one. For that one, I would definitely would want, I would say the Big Evil for that one. The Big Evil. I wouldn't mind the Dead Man as well. Oh nine Undertaker, I wouldn't mind, but or 2013 Undertaker would be pretty cool. Um, but yeah, that's who I'll go with. Well, Andre, I appreciate you guys. Appreciate you being on the show, man.
Thank you for having me, man.
No problem, no problem. Any last thing you want to say before we wrap this show up?
I guess we should talk about the one thing that we need to talk about that is about to end this week, and that's Chad Gable's contract. Triple H is going to convince him to stay and maybe promise him a HT title shot, or do you think he is going to take either time off or consider the other options of signing with another brand?
I think he has the same issue with what Drew McIntyre had. Drew McIntyre said it himself that he was never gonna sign with AEW or whatever. Like he was never gonna leave WWE. He was always gonna stay. They were just he was trying to find the right schedule. You know, he wanted a certain schedule and a certain pay, and they just kept going back and forth. It just took too long. It's not a, hey, will you take this offer? And then, no, it takes like, okay, hey, this is the offer for the week. Do you accept? Yes or no? Okay, we'll come back with another offer next week. Or they'll counter offer, like, oh, well, what about this? I'll accept those days. So I feel like that's what's going on with Chad Gable. It's just they're just trying to find the right offer for him. Or they have the right offer. He just wants to know what's the future hold for him? What's the direction? What's the storyline? Are you guys going to use me? Maybe that's why they're doing, they're pushing him this heel turn to see, like, are you even worth it? Are people, if you stay, are people going to care? If you leave, are people going to care? You know? So, but right now they're trying to see if people care, and it looks like people do care. So I'm pretty sure they're going to come up with an agreement sooner or later. I don't think he's going anywhere. And where is he going to go? It's going to be the same issue. You're going to still, do you think he's going to go to AEW or TNA? He's going to be like the top guy right away? No. I feel like in TNA, he'll be a perfect guy. I feel Chad Gable in TNA, that would be a great fit. And I feel like that's where he should go, you know, but I don't think he's going anywhere though. I don't. And I like the direction that they're going with because he finally has his own team angle. He's finally a heel, a leader heel. Otis, I wish Otis would turn heel eventually. I feel like it's gonna happen. Um, Maxine, I heard, she's so gorgeous. I hope she turns heel. I don't want Alpha Academy to break up, basically. That's what I want. I don't want them to break up. I feel like the Cree brothers should join the group. And I feel like, or I'm pretty sure that's what's gonna happen. Chad Gable's just gonna like drop Otis and Akira and to have the Creed brothers join instead. I feel like that's the direction that's gonna happen. I'm all for it, but I think with the Alpha Academy now, I think they need to turn heel and evolve because it's kind of like Pokemon. It's like, man, you captured these people and you've been training them and they haven't even evolved. They haven't done anything. They haven't even graduated, bro. Like, what are you doing, man? You gotta like get them there. And that's a story itself as well. They started off in Alpha Academy and they worked their way up. Yeah, fortunately, they had to turn their back on the people to get whatever they want. But I mean, The Rock did it. Look at him now. So, but what's your thoughts on Chad Gable?
Yeah, I think that they're going to come to some sort of agreement at the very last hour, and I do see him taking the title off of Sammy and having maybe not a long
Ray?
icy title reign, but enough for him to start getting a build around the Alpha Academy.
Yeah.
I think this would have been the perfect time to still have had both the cruiserweight championship and
Mm.
I don't, maybe not necessarily the 24/7 title, but something along with it, so that if you had kept,
Like a
if you
European
added,
title,
if you added the Creed brothers to go after the tag titles and take them off of Miz and R Truth, have Akira dominate the cruiserweight division the way that Tajiri was for a good length of time,
mm,
and then have Otis be what Bossman was to the hardcore title.
okay, yeah, because even like those titles, that's what I'm saying. Like WWE, they need to have that main event title, the world title. You need that IC title, that title that is, if the world title is not the main event, then that secondary title is. And then you need a you need the women's, you need the tag, and then you need, I wouldn't say the X division, but you need a title where it's like um I guess it could be the X division, but maybe like I don't know, like another, I guess you need another third secondary title that a main eventer could get once in a while. And then you need a title where it's like the hardcore title where it's just like this title doesn't really mean anything. It's just there for a, just so you have a, like, people know you're important and we're gonna see, if you can make this title work and people invest in you, then you could make the other titles mean something then, you know? So that's what that title's for. Like the hardcore title, European title, it's to see like if people care about you as a champion. And if they do, cool, then you're gonna go after the United States title or maybe the Intercontinental title. And then you can make that work, then you go after the world title.
I guess that's what they're trying to do with the Speed Championship, but if it's only going to be defended online, um,
On X, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
then
I don't have X.
what was the purpose? What was the purpose of the title if it's not going to be, if you're going to be announcing it, but then the champion's not actually carrying around and giving it
Promoting that, yeah,
exposure?
promote, yeah,
You don't have to defend it every time, but at least build around it. That if you're gonna have that title, because eventually it's gonna lead to merchandise. It's gonna lead to kids wanting to buy it.
right.
Okay. The only way you're gonna get to sell that item is if you expose it as much as possible. Not
Mm,
overly expose it, but enough where it's getting the attention, and that's what's gonna lay to you getting the subscribers that are gonna sign to X and then watch it more often.
yeah.
Um,
I don't know why they agreed to X. It's like TikTok. I mean, I guess not. I know why TikTok, but like YouTube Short, Facebook, of all places, to do this. And I don't know why they should have just brought that title into the main roster instead of it being like an internet title. Because it's like you have Ricochet as your champion, but nobody knows about it because he's not holding it. So, but then if he
except
was
Michael,
holding it, it's like it's an internet title that we
but
can
then
only
then
watch
Michael
it
Cole
on
keeps talking
X.
about it on. Then Michael Cole keeps talking about it over a commentary about how he'll bring it up every now and then during matches.
That he's a speed champion.
Yeah,
That I mean, I
that's what I said.
guess.
What's the point of mentioning it if you're not going to have him bring out the belt and acknowledge that he's that champion?
Do they even show matches like of the clips? Like
Not like
Ricochet
like
faced this person this past Friday.
only when it's part of the segments that they're gonna mention. Like
Mm,
they did mention it on one of the SmackDowns that Ricochet is now the Speed Champion. And
right.
as I said, Michael Cole's mentioning it on commentary every now and then.
But we don't get a
But if
visual of
you're
it.
right,
So it's like saying,
and
oh, McDonald's has ice cream sandwiches, but it's like, but
the machine's
where's the
broken.
vis? Yeah, but yeah, the machine's broken and there's no visual of it. So where are these sandwiches coming from? All right, I got one last thing to ask you before we end this show. Pick your night. So I'm gonna give you a list. It's Friday night, right? You're chilling on the couch. You're about to order some food. You got some games. Now, the games you pick comes with the system. All right. So this is the games. You got WWE No Mercy. You got WWE Day of Reckoning. You got WWE Here Comes the Pain. You got WWE SmackDown versus Raw 2010. You got WWE 2K19. You have WWE 2K24. What game are you getting?
No mercy.
No Mercy. So that comes with the Nintendo 64. All right. You're about to order some pizza. What pizza are you going to order from? Little Caesar, Pizza Hut, Papa John. Wait, what is that? Little Caesar. Oh, Domino's.
Little Caesars.
Little Caesars. All right. What kind of toppings? Hawaiian, pepperoni, sausage, or cheese, or supreme?
Supreme.
Damn. All right, sounds like a now for drinks. Pepsi, Coke, Sprite, or Mountain Dew.
Mountain Dew.
There you go, man. Damn, that's a good Friday night for you, man. Hey, man, let me join you. But I'm gonna get pepperoni pizza and Hawaiian pizza.
Now I gotta say the No Mercy game because that was probably the only time I can recall where you were allowed to use the low blow on the wrestler, and they would have that ding sound to let you know that the person.
Oh,
And
dude. Yes.
it took the weight seriously when it came to the scoop slams. And if you managed to land the scoop slam on a heavier opponent, it gave your wrestler
Mm,
enough momentum to use a finisher and finish the match.
dude, I totally forgot about that low blow. Yeah, you're right, because they'll be holding down there, and that's when you're able to scoop them up and hit them with a power slam. Damn, man, I forgot about that. I meant, man, so when I went to Maryland, my boy doesn't live too far from. Have you heard of Maryland Championship Wrestling?
I have not.
So Maryland Championship Wrestling, hopefully I did not butcher the name. It's obviously located in Maryland, not too far from where my boy lives, the one who I went to Philadelphia for WrestleMania. And where that's located, there is a pawn shop. It's like well, I wouldn't say a pawn shop. It's like one of those like electronic stores. It's not like it's basically like GameStop, but it's not GameStop, just a regular video game store. They
Mm.
had all these classic Nintendo 64 game systems and games, and they had the No Mercy game, and he had two copies. He had like one copy that was like kind of scratched off. I think the price for it was like $25, and he had one that was like he said it was like, because I asked him, why is that one so expensive? It was like $50, and he's like, it's mint condition, like it's mint, like he's like, it's brand new, like fresh out of the box. And I was like, but it's outside of the box, so I feel like it shouldn't be $50, but whatever. But I was in the urge of buying a Nintendo 64 and the No Mercy game. Obviously the $20 one. But the Nintendo 64 freaking dude wanted I believe $200 for them. I was like, damn, buddy. I was like, for an extra 150, I could just get a PlayStation 5. I mean, I won't have a game, but still I have a PlayStation 5. Can watch Netflix on it. Well, Andres, man, appreciate you. Thanks for being on the show, man. Nice having you on the show. Thanks for, volunteering and also agreeing and showing up and, not ghosting me. So I hate when people agree to be on my show and then they ghost me. And it's like, why? I should be ghosting you. So, all right. Well, appreciate everybody that tuned in. Hit that like and subscribe. Don't forget to check out New Entry Wrestling Podcast YouTube channel. And if you're listening to us on Spotify, please hit that 5-star and a follow. Also, go follow New Entry Wrestling Podcast on IG. All right. Well, I'm about to close this episode. Yeah. So I'm Ian. Andre, special guest, thank you so much. And we are out. Doo-doo-doo.
Peace.
I just dropped my remote.